What if your family's toxic reign was about to come crashing down? Imagine the satisfaction of watching those who tormented you for years finally face the consequences of their actions. Picture the sweet justice of seeing their carefully constructed facade crumble, revealing the rot beneath. In this video, we'll explore the epic journey of revenge as your toxic family's empire falls apart before your very eyes. Every empire has its beginnings, and your toxic family's reign of terror is no exception. Their ascent to power likely began long before you were born, rooted in generational trauma and dysfunction. Like master architects of misery, they built their dominion brick by brick, using manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional abuse as their primary tools. Their empire thrived on control, fear, and the subjugation of those they deemed weaker. They crafted an intricate web of lies, presenting a perfect image to the outside world while hiding the darkness that lurked within their walls. To outsiders, they appeared successful, respected, and enviable. But you knew the truth that lay beneath the polished veneer. As a child, you were thrust into this toxic realm, expected to play your part in their grand performance. You were molded to fit their narrative, your individuality stifled, and your emotions dismissed. They demanded unwavering loyalty and obedience, punishing any sign of rebellion or independent thought. Their power grew as they accumulated wealth, influence, and social status. They reveled in their ability to manipulate not just family members, but also friends, colleagues, and even entire communities. Their toxic tentacles reached far and wide, ensnaring unsuspecting victims in their web of deceit. You watched as they climbed higher and higher, seemingly untouchable in their ivory tower of narcissism and cruelty. They basked in their perceived invincibility, convinced that their empire would stand the test of time. Little did they know that every empire, no matter how mighty, carries within it the seeds of its own destruction. As with all facades, cracks began to appear in the seemingly impenetrable walls of your toxic family's empire. At first, these fissures were barely noticeable, easy to dismiss or cover up. But as time wore on, they grew deeper and more pronounced, impossible to ignore. Perhaps it started with whispers among extended family members, questioning the perfect image your toxic relatives had so carefully cultivated. Or maybe it was a series of small mishaps that began to chip away at their carefully constructed persona. Whatever the catalyst, the cracks in their foundation became increasingly apparent. You noticed the strain in their voices as they struggled to maintain control over their narrative. Their once flawless masks began to slip, revealing glimpses of the true ugliness that lay beneath. The lies they had spun for so long started to unravel, exposing inconsistencies that even their most ardent supporters couldn't ignore. Financial troubles might have been one of the first visible signs of their impending downfall. Perhaps their unethical business practices finally caught up with them, or their extravagant lifestyle began to outpace their means. The empire that once seemed built on solid gold was revealed to be nothing more than a house of cards, teetering on the brink of collapse. Relationships within the family dynamic also started to fray. The iron grip of control that once held everyone in check began to loosen, allowing long-suppressed resentments and conflicts to bubble to the surface. Alliances shifted and cracks formed in the united front they had long presented to the world. As these fissures deepened, you watched with a mixture of disbelief and growing hope. The empire that had seemed unshakable for so long was beginning to crumble before your very eyes. The family members who had tormented you for years were finally starting to reap what they had sown. As your toxic family's empire began to crumble, you found yourself in the unique position of witness to their downfall. The process was both fascinating and surreal, like watching a slow-motion train wreck that you had long anticipated but never truly believed would happen. The once proud facades of your family members began to crack and peel away, revealing the true nature of their characters. Their carefully constructed masks of perfection and superiority shattered, exposing the insecurities and flaws they had so desperately tried to hide. It was almost pitiful to see them scrambling to maintain their image, like actors continuing to perform even as the stage collapsed around them. You observed as their social circles rapidly shrank. Former friends and acquaintances, once eager to bask in the reflected glory of your family's success, now distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with the growing scandal. The lavish parties and social events that had once been the hallmark of their status became a thing of the past, replaced by a deafening silence and emptiness. Financial ruin hit them hard, forcing them to give up the symbols of their former glory. Luxury cars were repossessed, grand homes were sold off, and the trappings of wealth that they had used to intimidate and impress others disappeared. The stark reality of their new circumstances was a harsh wake-up call, one they struggled to accept. Their attempts to manipulate and control others became increasingly desperate and transparent. The tactics that had once served them so well now fell flat, as people began to see through their lies and manipulations. It was almost comical to watch them try to spin their downfall into a tale of persecution or temporary setback, but few were buying their stories anymore. As their empire crumbled, so did the dynamics within the family. Long-standing alliances fractured as family members turned on each other, each trying to save themselves from the sinking ship. The unity they had presented to the world was revealed to be nothing more than a fragile illusion, easily shattered under pressure. Throughout this process, you maintained a safe emotional distance, protecting yourself from being drawn back into their toxic web. You watched with a mixture of vindication and sadness, recognizing that the fall of their empire marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new, uncertain future for all involved. As you witness the downfall of your toxic family's empire, you find yourself navigating a complex sea of emotions. The satisfaction of seeing justice served clashes with unexpected pangs of empathy, creating an internal conflict that catches you off guard. On one hand, there's an undeniable sense of vindication. Years of gaslighting, manipulation, and abuse are finally being acknowledged by the world at large. The truth you've known all along is now impossible to deny, and there's a certain sweetness in being proven right after so long. You may feel a surge of empowerment, knowing that you've survived their worst and emerged stronger. Yet alongside this satisfaction, you might experience a surprising wave of grief. Despite the pain they caused, these are still people you once loved and trusted. Seeing them brought low can stir up complicated feelings of loss, not for who they were, but for who you wish they could have been. It's a mourning for the loving family you never had and now never will. Guilt might also rear its head, even though you know you've done nothing wrong. Years of conditioning to put your family's needs first can leave you feeling conflicted about your role in their downfall, even if that role was simply standing up for yourself. You might catch yourself wondering if there was something you could have done differently, even as your rational mind knows this isn't your fault. Anger too might bubble up, not just at your family, but at a world that allowed their abuse to continue for so long. You might feel frustrated that it took external circumstances to bring them down, rather than the pain they caused being enough. This anger can be a powerful force, driving you to advocate for others in similar situations. Fear could also be part of this emotional cocktail. As satisfying as it is to see your abusers face consequences, it also means stepping into uncharted territory. The toxic dynamics you've known all your life are changing, and that uncertainty can be frightening, even if it's ultimately for the best. Amidst all these swirling emotions, it's crucial to remember that there's no right way to feel. Your emotions are valid, no matter how contradictory they might seem. This is a time to be gentle with yourself, to allow yourself to process these feelings without judgment. As the dust settles on the ruins of your toxic family's empire, you stand at the threshold of a new beginning. This is your opportunity to build a legacy of your own, one founded on authenticity, compassion, and personal growth. Your journey begins with healing. The scars left by years of abuse and manipulation run deep, but they also serve as a roadmap for your recovery. Each wound you address becomes a wellspring of strength and wisdom. You learn to trust your own perceptions again, to value your emotions, and to set healthy boundaries. This healing process becomes the cornerstone of your new legacy. With a clearer sense of self, you start to envision the life you truly want, free from the expectations and limitations imposed by your toxic family. You give yourself permission to dream big, to pursue passions that were once dismissed or forbidden. Whether it's a career change, a creative endeavor, or personal relationships, you approach these areas of your life with renewed enthusiasm and authenticity. Education and personal development become ongoing commitments. You recognize that growth is a lifelong journey, not a destination. You seek out knowledge and experiences that expand your worldview and challenge your perceptions. This commitment to learning helps you break free from the narrow mindset instilled by your family, opening up a world of possibilities. As you build your new life, you also discover the power of choosing your own family. You cultivate deep, meaningful relationships with friends who support and uplift you. These chosen connections become a source of joy and strength, showing you what healthy, reciprocal love looks like. You learn to trust again, to be vulnerable, and to receive love without conditions. Your experiences also ignite a passion for helping others who have faced similar struggles. Whether through formal advocacy, mentoring, or simply being a compassionate listener, you find ways to turn your pain into purpose. This aspect of your legacy becomes particularly meaningful as you work to break the cycle of abuse and create positive change in the world. Financial independence becomes another crucial aspect of your new legacy. You educate yourself about money management, making informed decisions that secure your future. This financial literacy is not just about accumulating wealth, but about creating a stable foundation that allows you to live life on your own terms. Throughout this process of building your legacy, you remain true to your values. The integrity and compassion that helped you survive your toxic upbringing now become the guiding principles of your life. You lead by example, showing others that it's possible to rise above adversity and create a life of meaning and fulfillment. Your new legacy is not built in opposition to your families, but rather in alignment with your true self. It's a testament to your resilience, your capacity for growth, and your unwavering spirit. As you continue to evolve and thrive, you become living proof that the most beautiful gardens can grow from the most difficult soil. The fall of your toxic family's empire marks the end of a painful chapter in your life, but it also heralds the beginning of a new, empowering journey. As you've witnessed their downfall and navigated the complex emotions that came with it, you've also discovered your own strength and resilience. This experience has equipped you with invaluable wisdom and the opportunity to build a legacy of your own, one rooted in authenticity, compassion, and personal growth.